Hi guys, it's me, Kathy, Mrs. Handy, are you? Hope you guys are all doing really well today. And it's still summer, so happy summer. We're still going. And let's see, so what I'm doing right now is President Trump's rally that was on September 3rd, and it was in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And it was the first rally since the FBI, I can't get my fingers in there, raid on Mar-a-Lago. And it was so I divided up the town city name, and it's Wilkes and B-A-R-R-E. So I did Wilkes, and it's 79 in simple gematria, and that equals Lincoln. And you can think of Wilkes also just from John Wilkes Booth, right? And Yeshua, and that's Y-E-S-H-U-A. Wilkes equals my home, which is cool. I'm sure he knows this. You know, he knows that. I mean, I think he created all this. And Black Ops. So all that matches Wilkes. And then B-A-R-R-E at 44 matches Abraham. So we have Abraham and Lincoln. So Barry is also Mad Dog. And 107 used to call in as Mad Dog on Field McConnell. He also called in as 107, but he would switch off. Sometimes the phone would hang up from, like, say, Mad Dog had called, and then the phone would ring immediately, and then it would be 107, you know, and it was just, he was just changing his voice. It was really cute. And I think I've already told you, but Field McConnell would let it out who it was. He'd say, "Oh, it must be John," you know, and things like that. And okay, so I didn't get everything because, like, it would take too long, as you know. But I've got some highlights and certain things that stood out to me. So he said, he was talking about President Biden, who, as far as I can tell, is junior, and all other people, which we won't get into now because this takes too long. He is an enemy of the state. He is an enemy of the state. Well, enemy of the state is 181, and that's national emergency. And he said hatred and anger twice. And how'd you like the red lighting behind him, like the devil? I thought that was a good one. And red is 27, and 27 is JFK. And then he was talking about 14 people, S-H-O-T. I don't even know what is okay to say anymore. It's so hard. In 71 minutes. No, that was 4 people. 14 people. I got it backwards. Okay, take back a step. 14 people, and then he said 14 again, which is like 4 plus 1 is 5, and then 4 plus 1 again. So that's like 5 by 5. Clear comms. Also 55 is JFK Jr. 4 people shot in 71 minutes, and 71 is Lady Diana. Interesting that it was exactly 71 minutes that they counted, you know. Lady Diana, the bride, and car crash, remember in France? That's how she exited. I'm alive, Pleiadian, rescue, and let's see, nothing can, well, it's the abbreviation for nothing can stop what is coming, NCSWIC. Okay, you mentioned beautiful little children, the same thing happened to. Okay, he brought up triple, which is like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, which I think we know who they are. President Trump, Father, Son is JFK Jr., and Holy Spirit is JFK. That's what I'm thinking, or it could be, the two Johns could be switched around. So I'm not sure. Obviously, I don't know. And I'm not, these are just theories. You guys all know this, right? So that's just my theory from decoding. And it's not from other people, it's from me decoding. Let's see. He said, very simple, but he said it 3 times in a row. And that's very simple is 144, and that equals Pearl Harbor Day, which is December 7th. And then we died together. I don't know if that's when the beast thing happens. It'd be interesting if I don't know what year or whatever, but it'd be interesting if we see them on, or even just before November 22nd. That's a couple months away, but anyway. And December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, because I've been thinking we'll see people and then they're going to exit again because of this beast event. But it may not be immediately after. Like, who knows? And then he said, the danger we see is from the radical left. And the danger we see, to me, is the FFs, the false flappy things, that are all being organized by the White Hats. And it will get really intense later on. Let's see. And he said we're like a third world nation. Third world nation is 204. The event horizon, targeted individuals. And that kind of goes along with what I just read. You know, I don't know. Just Pearl Harbor Day, and then we died together. I had just worked on, and then the event horizon and targeted individuals. And then he said about the raid, he said, can you believe? And I was thinking no, because it didn't happen. Not legitimate, not a legitimate raid anyway. Maybe people came in, but he knew what was going on. He talked about the evil and malice of demented persecution should be pretty obvious. And and what they did to, as Janine would say, what did she say, under 10s, or does she say under 17s? I can't remember, but younger folks. And if you haven't subscribed to Janine, go to TAROT by Janine.com and subscribe, and you'll get to see all of her things. You won't have any commercials, and it's $4.99 a month, and it's worth every penny. It really is. So this is a commercial for Tarot by Janine. I think she's wonderful. And I don't think anybody's always right or anything, but, she gives you things to think about. Okay. And then he said, they refused to indict crooked Hillary. And then he was talking about how she smashed the phones, smashed the phones so nobody could see them, like Comey supposedly and all that. Sorry about the noise. And he said, boom, with a hammer. Just like that. Boom. So we had a boom. And he talked about, then they staged a photo shoot. And that to me is like staging the upcoming events and photos and things. Making things look like they really happened in our news that will be coming up. And it won't be real, or it will be photos from old disasters, old fires. The tsunami that happened years ago. The big one, I can't even think of where it was hit the most, but the tsunami, the big, everybody knows the big tsunami. And it could be photos from that. And earthquakes, it could be old earthquake photos. So it will look like these disasters had happened, and it won't be. Let's see. And he said, that event that we're talking about, that he's talking about, the raid, will produce a backlash, the likes of which has never been seen before. And let's see. Since the moment I came down the golden escalator. Now, I haven't heard him say golden escalator before, and that's could be, a reference to the QFS and the reset and all that. GCR, whatever you want to call it, global currency reset. But golden escalator is 151, and that's Jesus Christ. So he came down the golden escalator. I thought that was awesome. And he was talking about fake Russia, Russia, Russia. And then he said impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2. So he's got hoax in there. He's kind of leaving the breadcrumbs for everybody when they go back and see and listen to these things after they try to figure it out. Like, what do you mean he was telling us everything ahead of time? They just go on and on and on, live forever. And, this is a good one. This is such a good one, you guys. He said, Adam Shifty Schiff, he's a watermelon head. Okay? And I've talked before about Professor Horatio Q. Melonhead, on YouTube. And he's Patrick. He's the one that's Patrick. And he's the one that you can see. There's a couple of photos out that have gone around decoding things. And there's a brother, like a little bit younger brother type person. Well, of course, because he was his brother. But they tried to call him John's cousin, his first cousin. And it's Prince Anthony Radziwill. So Radzwill. And we used to talk on Twitter a long time back. And or at least it was a white hat AI. I don't know. You don't know who you're talking to, really. I mean, you can feel like you know who you're talking to, but who knows? This AI can have deep conversations with people. It's amazing. Anyway, so he's Professor Melonhead. So he gave a heads up for Professor Horatio F. Melonhead. And Melonhead, or Professor is a nicer way of putting it, Professor's YouTube channel doesn't get a lot of views. It's so weird because I've talked about him before. I thought more people would check him out. But I think the most he might get is just over 300, maybe a little more. I don't know. And a lot of his YouTube posts are they're like songs, but it'll have a picture of John or somebody like that on the front, and sometimes it's really great pictures that you haven't seen before. And but then the song will come on. It's usually the words to the song, and the song has deep meaning to what's going on. And anyway, he's one of the Vincent Fuscas. And I think he's mine. I mean, I think it was that person begins with an N and has a number after the N. He said that he was John Denver. So for the longest time, I'm talking about my Vincent Fusca in my profile photo. But it might not have been John Denver. It might have been Prince Anthony Radziwill. Now I have to do a lot more photo comparisons because I haven't even tried to work on this lately since I thought about it. So I'm not sure. Let's see. The best thing to do is to look at the ears if you can. When you want to see if somebody's the same person, look at the ears. Now my ears are weird. You guys are always talking about my ears. I know, I have weird ears. One earlobe, which one? This one's long, right? Not long, but longer. And this one is pretty much no earlobe. But I'm not in a mask. I'm just me, Kathy. So, yeah, there's no rubber here. It's nothing. See, look, see? It's real. Okay. Let's see. So he brought up Melonhead. He brought up Watermelon Head. So that was President Trump. So look at these pages. Isn't this funny? It's so long. And this rally, you guys have to watch it if you didn't watch it. It's on rsbn.com or, just look on their, they have an app, RSB network. Just download the app and you could see these rallies. And there was so many people moving back there, and I really didn't, I just didn't recognize these people, but boy, were they moving. Just about everybody on the sides, behind, above, kept moving seats. So that's a definite sign that something's going on and that these people are well known. It looked like a chess game. It really did. All these people bouncing around. Okay, he brought up my son twice, and he said, good kid, like Junior. He said, my son is going to prison 2 times. He said that. And he said, I will clean this mess up again. To me, it's like the Garden of Eden, when they did the stuff they shouldn't have done with human DNA that I don't want to go into. At the cross, not following through with what's supposed to have been done. Could it have been just JFK that was supposed to be there, Senior? Sometimes I say it's just him. Sometimes I say, Diana should be there. I don't know. I'm not sure. And he had another Trumpology, he had a whole bunch, where he said, protect our militarily, and he didn't correct it, and then it was supposed to be military. And that is 128 equals code system, which is what we're doing. And just kidding. I mean, it matches a lot of stuff, but I can't list everything. And he said, we were all sad, and he said, not all set. So what would have fit in the sentence was, we were all set. But he said sad. And sad is 24, and that is JKC. And to me, that's like John Kennedy Christ, or you could do it KJC, JK, Christ, John Kennedy, whatever. And let's see. And it's so cool. SAD also matches IBM, and Mr. Handy worked for IBM for a long time. So that was kind of neat. And it matches kid and be back. So all that, SAD is 24, and it matches all those things. And our leaders are a laughing stock. Well, that's because there are people. There are guys. They're all actors. And I don't know if I said this recently or it was in one of my videos that had no audio. I don't know. But do you remember when John Jr. had a cast on his leg? And I don't know if it was just his leg or his ankle or what. And when you think about the cast, it's like it was a fake cast because he wasn't hurt. And remember, he was supposedly had the plane accident, and people blamed it on that. Oh, he flew too soon after he got his cast off. I think it's how it went. The stories, and anyway, so what it was a fake cast, right? Well, what we have right now in the government and on TV and all over the place is a fake cast of characters. I wonder what that is. Cast of characters. That'd be a good one to look up, you guys. Put it in the comments, somebody. And then he brought a golden escalator again. And he said, you'll be a great first lady. He said that 4 times. And that's important, right? 4 times in a row. And that's 114. And it equals frequency, trump card, keystone, and world. I'm just going to say some of these words. War. Let's see what happens. So tired of spelling everything. So, first lady. I should have said first lady equals that 114 if I didn't say that properly. So first lady equals world war. And he said the spike that went to heaven should have gone to hell. And let's see, that was at 302, and 32 is Eve, and the one Eve or the 2 Eves or whatever you want to call what's going on will be going to down below or wherever that is, and then going up okay, with the beast event from Revelation 11. And if you haven't read Revelation 11, please read it. It's not very long. Just read it, because I refer to it all the time. Look it up online. You don't have to do anything major, like scary, like opening a Bible. But you can look it up. I don't know why I said that. That came out weird. Okay. He brought up Uncle Sam a couple of times. Oh, and then he goes very sarcastically, "We've been waiting for Durham for a long time." And then he said, "Durham, Durham, Durham." And Durham is 65, and that equals comedy, show, and Savin, S-A-V-I-N. And that's another of my theories, that Durham is Junior. You probably know that. Let's see, he brought up come back, and then he said never come back again. So he said it a couple of different ways. And that comeback is 53, and Lancer, which is JFK's Secret Service name, senior, deceive, coffin, and ending. So I've been thinking that one of the things they're going to do to prove that it's him and it's not like a double or an actor is that they'll open the tomb. That's why coffin matches come back, and they'll open it and it will be empty. There won't be anybody home. Okay, and then he said something really interesting here that you'll laugh at. He said, last week, Mark Zuckerberg came in and kissed my ass. And he confessed in 2020 it was Russian disinformation. So he confessed is in there. And anyway, so I did kiss my ass. Sorry if kids are listening. It's a donkey. It's 135, and it equals Christ's father. So he's like the father. President Trump is the father. Okay, well, I'm taking way too long, you guys. I'm sorry. And then he said, now watch. And I know I'm not giving context for everything, but I didn't write everything down. He said, now watch. And that to me was literal, like watch behind him, because everybody was moving around at that time. Now watch is 107, and it's military, earthquake, and solar flare, which likely will all sound like it's happening, and it won't be real. Okay, he's talked about disinformation twice, and 2 years ago, gas was $1.87 a gallon, and 187 in gematrix.org is it equals 173, and it equals 10 commandments and Beauty and the Beast. So 10 commandments is what we're still under. We're under what they call the law, because Jesus didn't die for us, from what I've been working on in my code decoding. So, the death was faked. A lot of deaths have been faked, like all over the place. Okay, because when he died, everybody talks now, if you're Christian or, Catholic, whatever, that you're under the grace of God because he took your place for the sins. So anyway, he didn't die as far as I know. And that's my theory. I'm sticking to it. And I'm not saying that I'm always right, but that one I'm pretty firm on. Let's see. And then he said a friend bought an electric car. And then he said a bunch of things about the car and driving, and the guy was upset because you have to plug it in longer at the, when you're on the road, you have to plug it in longer than the trip may take or something like that. And then he said hybrids and all the things they can do. And hybrids, like aliens bred with people, they're hybrids. It's the double meaning. And then he said, electric cars and the batteries all the rare earth it takes to make the batteries, and that comes from China. And then right afterwards he said, Angela, you're going to surrender. And I think he was talking about the pipeline at the time, that when he was talking back about the pipeline to Russia. Angela, you're going to surrender. And I've been saying for a while now that it's going to look like the U.S. surrenders in this war. And it won't be real either. But boy, will people be devastated. All over the world, all over the United States, in our community, because they don't know what's going on exactly with this kind of angle. Yeah. And then he said they're not smiling. And it's going to be a fake, what you call that is a capitulation. Like you've given up, you've given in. Wave the white flag, the white flappy thing. Let's see. He said, he's talking about gas at $5, $6, $7. And Juan has said it would go up to $10. So anyway, just keep that in mind. Let's see, 5, 6, 7 is 159. Sorry, my nose is always itchy. Is John F. Kennedy Jr. Jr. Not a coincidence. And then gas was down to 149 for a bit. I think that's when, everybody's working together. It's not like, remember he said he talked to Saudi Arabia and told them, you got to get the prices down and all that. And Juan calls it the price of lifting it. The lift rate was really, really low. So there was a point there when it was almost nothing to get I think it was that they had to pay to get it out of the ground instead of making a profit. So anyway, he brought up 149, and 149 is 160 when you write that in to matrix.org, and that equals I am your father. And the also matches at 160 the Lost Boys, like Peter Pan, but we're talking about John and John, or as you know, John Jr. is Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. So let's see. He was reincarnated, if you're new. Let's see. I gotta skip some of this stuff. Oh, and a bird cemetery about the turbans. And I'm thinking the reason he brings this up is I think it might even look like the movie The Birds, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, where the birds are coming after people and they're flocking. And if you've ever seen that movie with Tippi Hedren, The Birds, holy moly, is that a scary movie? It's still scary. It's a very scary movie. It's a little corny in parts, but boy, the plot is scary. And the birds try to get in the house, and they're on the playground, where the kids are, and they're all flocking there, and they're ready to attack. And the birds come down the chimney, and they have to block the windows in the house where she is. Oh my gosh, it's scary. So I think it may look like that. And we've got the best movie producers out there, movie directors. It's going to look so real. And I'm sure a lot of it is already, a wrap, as they call it. It's already done and ready to go on our phones and things. Brought up nuclear weapons, because it will be like a nuclear attack and also a chemical attack. And he said legs, arms, limbs obliterated. And it's like, to me, it's about the young ones, that they found. And also it can look at, you can look at that as, different ways, is the beast event from Revelation 11, which will be, I think, off the East Coast. I've been thinking it will be off one of the Carolinas, but it could possibly be off Cape Cod. That would kind of make sense if they were out sailing. Kind of makes sense. But who knows? It could be a whole other part of the world. I'm not sure. brought up 18 months, which is R. 18 equals R. And let's see. He said millions will have to die, and he's talking about the fake Ukraine event that's going on, war, and but millions will have to die will also look like that with all the bad things that are upcoming. And then he said, listen to this, you actually did kill me on Nordstrom. Okay, Nordstrom is it's a nice department store. You actually did kill me on Nordstrom. And then he corrected himself to, because that's like a Trumpology. And then he said Nord Stream 2. And that's like a missile program, I think. I didn't look it up, but I think that's what it is. So Nordstrom was what he said, and Nord Stream 2 is what he was a takeoff on. And it's funny because he said Nordstrom, and I don't think I told you guys, because I think this was on one of my videos. I couldn't run, and I don't even remember what it was, but a few days back or a while back, Mr. Handy and I went to Boston and picked up Tom Numbers from the airport, and then we took him out to dinner. And but the day that we did that, I went into Nordstrom's, which I don't usually do, but I went into Nordstrom's because it's in Boston, and I live like over an hour away. So I thought that was interesting that he said that, because it was when I picked up Tom, and that's when I went shopping. And he also had a heads up for me near the end of the rally. So maybe that was for me, the Nordstrom, I'm kind of taking it that way. President Trump, was that for me? Would you let me know? Okay, thanks. Okay, so, Nordstrom, I forgot to continue. Nordstrom is, let's see, 136, right? Yeah, 136, and equals Great Awakening, and ventilator, and like I've said in the past, I think he said ventilator all the time, so because it will look like you need a ventilator when there's chemical attacks happening. Mother Mary is 136, and let's see, Marty McFly for Back to the Future and all that, and Image of the Beast, and I Am the Creator. All those are 136. And I hope you guys are keeping track of some of these numbers, because they'll just keep coming up again and again. And if you have them written down, you'll probably start to get them probably quicker than me, because you probably have a better memory than me. So, I'm doing some research, and you can take advantage of the research. I think that's a good thing. So, okay. Another Trumpology, he said, I don't know if I can say it that way. Instead of allegedly, he said, allegedly. There was an R in there, so he added an R, like our Aranon, right? So he added an R, which is 18, which is a junior. So allegedly, and that is 101, and it equals Ides of March. So maybe that's when it looks like we surrender, capitulate. Tree of Life. 101 is also C, S-E-E, Holmes, Holmes. And, I'm always talking about those two audiobooks, Magpie Radio and Bite-Sized Audio. And Magpie is the one with Holmes, Sherlock Holmes audiobooks. And they're junior, and I think they're junior in JFK, taking turns. And even it could be Diana, because Diana can change her voice. These guys can do whatever they want. And, if you say, oh, but they don't, but that doesn't sound like so-and-so when you're trying to figure something out, just know that they can sound like Any accent anywhere. Okay. C. Holmes, and then voice of God. Oh, sorry, I'm losing my voice. And I'm not God, but voice of God. And portals, Hoover Dam. Let's see, March XRP, which I thought was interesting. Let me be clear, and that's a Juan O'Savin phrase. 18th for R, you know, he's number 18. Bombs away, and robotics. And it was like a robot or a mannequin that was, you know, in the limo. And I'm thinking it was probably Jackie too. I don't know. I was thinking that they added the like an actor type woman in the Zapruder film to, you know, when she's scrambling on the back. I think all that was just to make people ask questions. So, but I think also, because when you have a charge go off or something go off and like that has blood come out, it's like, I think I was talking to Karen Carson, and sorry, Karen, I said your name. Please forgive me. Anyway, there's a million of them in the United States, right? And anyway, there was probably a bit that fell on the back of the limo from it, and either she really did scramble or they had an actor do it and edited the Zapruder film. So one way or another, there was probably... That's what they wanted you to do. They wanted it to look like, oh, something's going on, and make everybody question everything. But it probably was Jackie from some other things I've worked on. Not in here. Let's see. Jackie, like leaving the limo, I think, with him. So probably, you know, pulling out that... mannequin from under the high seat in the back of the limo. They were way, way high, and there was like a cubby under there, and they could open a door and pull these mannequins out. For a while I was saying, oh, it was just one mannequin. Sometimes I'll probably go back to that. I don't know. But there's at least him. At least it was him that were put up there. And the face color's not right. The arm movements aren't right. The gazes are fixed. So if you look at the Zapruder film, you'll notice stuff like that. Okay, talked about Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz was there, or a reasonable facsimile of Dr. Oz. And he said, we were on a show together, and Dr. Oz said I should lose 20 to 25 pounds, and he wasn't happy about that. But that's a 2-2 for 11/22/63. And yeah, I keep writing notes in here among all this that, oh, and the guy back here moved, and the guy in the gray t-shirt smiled really big when he said that. So I've got all these other notes thrown in among here. Dr. Oz equals, listen to this. This is a good reason to say a reasonable facsimile. Dr. Oz equals 63. And it equals avatar, demonic, changing, and masks. So I don't think it was him. I really don't. And let's see. Because right after he talked about Dr. Oz in that one sentence, he said, I think we should have the death penalty for drug dealers. And he brought that up 2 or 3 times in different ways. So that sounds like gone. Like that person that he was just talking about is gone. And then he said they're at the top of their game, central casting, and like all these people are moving around back there, and but top of their game is Tom Number's second channel. It's not a backup channel, it's just another channel, and he interviews people, like usually in sports. I think it's usually sports. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so he brought that up, and then he said, I'd say he's smart. Wouldn't you say he's smart? And so that's so cool. So to me, it was a double meaning. Like he's talking about Tom's channel, and he's also saying he's smart. And he's smart. He said that 2 times in a row. And he's smart. Also, for another meaning, is 103. And that equals Jack Kennedy. And time's up, invasion. And let's see. And September matches. Now, don't take me for... That means when there's an invasion. But it just happens that September matches. He said, President, what do you do? And this sounds like Brown Bear from the kids' book. And it's, what do you see? It just hit me. President. Well, to me, that was like there's 2 presidents. And, himself and President Kennedy. He said, death penalty again. And he said, become a killing field, So he brought that up. So he kept talking about death after Dr. Oz. And let's see. And he brought up John Fetterman, which is a JF, like JFK. And he said the most dangerous Democrat. I think JFK is a dangerous man when he's mad at people. I think they've been having a time giving them justice, And then he said, I've watched him over the last couple of years. People thought he was a Republican. And then he said, and he wears a dirty sweatsuit. So he said dirty 3 times. So dirty equals 76. And not a game, the plan, and airplane, safety, and then we have human DNA. Yeah, because the human DNA part is back in the Garden of Eden, and the bad stuff, eating the human DNA, at least Eve did, or the 2 Eves, or Adam and Eve. So confusing. It's hard to be like definitive on this stuff. And to me also, it brought up airplane and the plan and safety. I mean, he didn't bring it up, but decoding. And it's going to look like the planes are falling out of the sky, too. I think that's going to be one of the FFs that they're going to have. And then there's also another correlation that Michael Jackson has a song that he did, and it's called Dirty Diana. And then we had the DNA that we just talked about. Okay. He said Fetterman was pulling the wool over people's eyes. Well, they're all doing it. And he said, and then he also said, if he had a magic wand, he'd get rid of death sentences. Now, that's what he said Fetterman wants. And magic wand, as you probably know, but I forgot as usual, is John Jr. And it's Concast. So every time he says Concast instead of Comcast, he does that on purpose. And that's our cable company. And Concast is 75. So when he says Concast, he's saying John Jr. And let's see, humor also matches. So, John Jr. and humor, it's appropriate. Let's see. What else? There's a lot of stuff, you guys. It's a lot of stuff. Another Trumpology. And let's see. He said, instead of only, he said onry. O-N-R-Y. Onry. That's the way I spelled it. Okay. O-N-R-Y is 72. And it equals, let's see. Let's add Harvard. Pilot. Holmes, like Sherlock for Magpie Radio. And, the channel. And it's JFK. It's got to be. I'm thinking it's at least Junior. I'm scared. Couple. I'll go back and explain it. Revealed, mischief, and Greek god. So 72 is all these things, and it's marriage. So Harvard and Pilot and revealed. Okay. So Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. that died in World War II, he went to Harvard, and he was a pilot, and he died in a bombing mission. And I'm just 100% sure. And like for you, it's a theory, but for me, I'm 100% sure that Joseph Patrick was reborn and he's JFK Jr. Okay, so anyway, and he was an actor in the Hasty Pudding Club, and I even have screenshots of things I found online of Joseph Patrick, who's the oldest of the Kennedy kids. Well, yeah, oldest by a couple of minutes, but because they're twins. Well, let's not get into all that. But I've got a picture, a screenshot of Joseph Patrick as dressed as a woman, and all these guys in a Hasty Pudding Club are dressed as women, and they're like in almost like a chorus line. So if you think that these guys wouldn't dress as women, you're wrong. Let's see, and then two guys were ushered in behind him. This woman in a blue sequin dress. I mean, it was very flashy, of course, because it was sequins. And she escorted two guys in on the left. Now, I don't think it was Junior and all that, but I mean, it could have been. Who knows? But I didn't really analyze or take screenshots of those two people. But right after she brought the two in, she said, he says, these two guys will help you a lot. And he was talking about politics at the time. Another Trumpology, there was so many. And instead of aboard, he said abroad, because aboard would have been the proper thing in that sentence that he said. Let's see. Oh, I didn't figure that one out, sorry. He brought up Dan several times, and we have someone in our family named that. I won't go into that too much because I don't want to get people mad at me, and Dan Muser. Well, that's funny. Same last initial. And so he said Dan several times. And Dan is 19 and it equals Adam. So that was cool. And then he goes, the two of them. And I'm thinking he meant like, in another level, John and Joseph Patrick, who's Junior. Dan again. And he said, our children are captive to inappropriate education. Our children are captive. Yeah, and I'm thinking Diana might be too, like not able to do exactly what she wants to do. So I don't know. Let's see. He tells a story about, he says he loves to tell stories, and it's like, to me, it's Bible story reference. And he said this woman was in a race, running, and there was a guy there who said he was a woman, basically. And he said she looked to the left, she looked to the right. She was severely injured by windburn. That cracks me up, windburn. And I didn't decode windburn, but that I could have done that. And as she ran by, that's my quote in there, not him. And then a guy right next to him, there was a guy in a gray t-shirt, which really stood out because everybody's in Trump paraphernalia and regalia, or whatever you want to call it. And he had just a gray shirt on, so maybe he was a sports guy, like a baseball guy or something. I don't know all those guys. And he had a white towel around his neck. And that wasn't there very long. It was only for a little brief time. So, I don't know. Maybe you guys know who it was. And let's see. He said menacing forces, like the FFs, I'm thinking. And then he talked about Washington crossing the Delaware. And on one of my videos that I couldn't put up because there's no sound, I had done a whole decode on Washington crossing the Delaware. Now, I'm not saying I have cornered the market on the story or info, but I just keep seeing things that look like it refers to me, and I think they do know. Tom says he thinks they do know who we are that are working on this stuff, and they probably know who you are. It's not just us. Let's see. Yeah, they can hear and see everything. So there's times I want to say something and I go, oh, they can hear me. And I don't say it. I really do. I stop and think about stuff. I go, yeah, I'm not going to say that in my, in my head. Then I'm like a lot nicer, 'cause they're listening, they're watching. And then he said, oh, this was so, hang on, my eyes all itchy, you guys. I'm sorry. Okay. And I need these on to read. I can't just take them off. I need them to drive. I can't, it's not even just read. And he said, we are a nation. Okay, so he says we are a nation. Then there was this absolutely huge boom in the auditorium. I don't remember where it was, but it was in Wilkes-Barre, but I don't know what the name of the auditorium or whatever stadium was. And it was huge. To me, it didn't sound like lightning. I suppose it could have been, but he didn't say anything like, oh, that was the lightning. Because when things happen off to the side, or he always makes little comments. So to me, if it had been lightning, he would have said, oh, wow, that was close, or something like that. Because everybody turned around and looked when this huge boom came. So that happened after he said, we are a nation. And then he said another Trumpology, like constant. He said, instead of Joe Biden says, he said, Joe Biden says. So the only way I could think of to write it was SAYES. So that's 69, and that equals message, go time, checkmate, false, eclipse, and night. Now it's night with a K, KN, but you can also, when you see the word night, you can also go, oh yeah, it's another reference to a night or dark, So when he said Joe Biden says, I didn't even write the rest of the sentence out, but right after he said that, there was another huge boom. So I suppose I could have done Joe Biden says and done the whole, oh my goodness, everything's bugging me, you guys. Okay, then he said, Joe Biden is killing hundreds of thousands in Ukraine. And that's like, not really, it's not happening. If you think it is, it's not. All kinds of videos out, taking all these photos and things apart. There's like dummies that are supposed to be like extras, and they're wood, and it shows the Ukraine army putting bandages on these dummies, and probably adding paint to where the paint came off, or I don't know. There's all kinds of things out there like that. And then he said China with Taiwan is next. So to me, it seems like things are ramping up. I don't know what you guys feel, but we have been talking about nuclear stuff out in the open until the last couple of months, maybe. And then it seems like it's happening more. And it just seems like it's ramping up. So I don't know what'll happen, if it'll be soon or later. And then next sentence. We are a nation who is allowing Iran to build a nuclear weapon. Well, that's not true. But here we are with the word again. Let's see. He said, we must be near the end, right? Yeah. And among the ending that he always has that's so inspiring, he says, we kneel to God and God alone. That's true. And then he said, we'll make America, and then we will make America over and over again. And it's powerful, wealthy, strong, proud, and safe. And we will make America great again. And Hold On, I'm Coming was playing again. And that's a song by Sam and Dave from the early 60s. And Sam and Dave is 184, and it equals fake news. So I thought that was cool. So I don't know. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was kind of long. I don't know. It's probably like an hour. I'm not even sure. So I'm going to record more. So I'll put it out. I don't put them all out all at once, because who wants to listen to me ramble forever? Anyway, and I wanted to remind you, I have these little notes, and just for fun, I wanted to remind you how this worked. This was in July 4th. I figured this out, or at least I wrote this. Okay, so I decided to put in gematrix.org. Melania is Jackie and Diana, and that equals 170. And that equals the Fat Lady Sings, which I've worked on before, the Fat Lady Sings, because that was happening behind Melania and POTUS at the World War II memorial ceremony in France this year. And let's see. Okay. I feel, and it also equals, I feel God is laughing. The royal family, royal, because that's who these guys are. And I clean up the mess. So when President Trump said that, actually, it just hit me, because it's the same phrase, I'll clean up the mess, or I clean up the mess, was in his rally that we just worked on. And that equals, you know, Melania and Jackie, or Diana. What did I say it was? I got to get back to my first note. Melania is Jackie and Diana. So it's not R, it's is, because it's 170. Let's see. And what else? What else? There was another one. I don't know, you guys. And Melania is Jacqueline and Diana. So this one I said Jacqueline, and it's spelled Jacqueline. There's a C in there. And so Melania is Jacqueline and Diana equals 228, and it equals the best is yet to come. And that is, the best is yet to come. So, and bigger than you can imagine. And that is a 17th letter phrase. And we're in this together. So we're in the character of Melania together, the two of them. And I'm on a mission from God, like I'm doing what I'm told, and I am really sick of snakes, right? Sick of snakes. And you know me so well. It's also, all these are 228. Melania is Jacqueline and Diana. And then nobody knows my name matches 228. Like, that's just funny, isn't it? I think it's really funny. So I thought I'd remind you of happy stuff at the end. So I love you guys, and take care of each other. And, you know, a lot of people out there need help, right? So if your family is distant and all that stuff, find somebody who needs some help and help somebody, you know? That'll make you feel tons better about all this stuff instead of staying on the computer all the time, you know, decoding 100,000 things. I mean, it's great to decode and it's great to research, but you also need to live. You know what I mean? So live and find someone that needs a little cheering up, a little phone call, maybe a neighbor or a friend or someone you don't even know in the grocery store. Just talk to them and say hello. And say, oh, like, see somebody, and like if it's a lady, oh my gosh, your hair looks great today, or something like that. Oh, you look so cute, or something. Or if there's an older guy, just go, oh, hi, how you doing? What are you doing today? Or, oh, what do you think about the weather? Anything. And before you know it, you'll have a conversation. So people need that. They really do. So I love you guys. Take care. See you soon. Bye.